this enterprise, we rented the allotment and then converted the allotment in an attempt to allow handicapped adults and children to garden on the allotment. I was there most days last year. There was no events held, no children or anybody else there, and now he's slightly altered it to try and get another grant on another thing. And I think there's absolutely no basis in charity in this at all. It's a business.
Okay, thank you. And Steve, did you wish to speak?
Yes. Some of the things inside the application talk about events that are going to happen on the allotment. As a council, are we going to allow that, even though we won't grant the money? If we continue to go ahead with that?
Neil, would you tell us, you're not, my understanding, I'll ask Neil to answer that, Steve, my understanding is that you can't run a commercial venture on a council allotment, but we've considered this, have we not up until now, as a charity? Correct, Anna?
Yeah.
I would think that we need more proof of that.
What does that mean? So I don't understand what that answer means. Are we going to allow him to run events or not?
Neil?
I hate to say this, but whatever discussions took place before my time. So I don't know what consent. I'll have to look back and see what requests were made and what consents were given. You know, if there's a concern by adjoining allotment holders, you know, our main concern would be whether any damage is caused, whether there's any disruption to people enjoying their allotments. We don't specify it in the rules in terms of these activities, so it falls sort of outside of that. But you know, I would certainly be interested to understand what is actually happening on the allotment, because I would want to mitigate any potential issues we might have from adjoining allotment holders or anybody else on the site.
Right, Ian?
Well, obviously last year we gave permission because we wanted, I mean, when it came to us and said the handicapped children, that's why I think most of us voted for it. So, but there were no events, well, not to my knowledge.
Not to anybody's knowledge.
Okay,
So
all right, I think, right, Miranda, the last word's yours then. We do have a proposer and a second, so I'll take a vote.
No, I just want to say that, I mean, events is one thing, but when you're cooking food for the general public, then you're getting into a whole other arena of rules and regulations that I doubt he has certification for.
Thank you. Right, so we're now going to take a vote. We have a proposal that we decline this, which is proposed by Ian, seconded by Dick. So those in favour of declining. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those against, and those who abstain. 1, 2, 3 abstentions. All right. So we move on then to item 16, which is, I'm going to ask Dave Casewell to speak to this.
Thank you, Chair. You've had a paper in your pack which outlines a possible step that the council may or may not wish to take. You're all aware, I'm sure through publicity, that pubs in the country are disappearing at the rate of about 30 per week. That's net, including the ones that are open. Pubs are a community asset in that they offer means whereby people can meet and socialise and generally reduce social isolation. Now, we have been slowly but surely losing pubs in Uppingham, and in the last two to go was the White Hart on High Street West and the wagon and horses down on that side of the road. Now at the moment, the Royal Oak, or Cross Keys as it was previously called, is closed, and there is a concern by the local Rutland Camera branch that it may never reopen as such. We don't know. That is the thing. Now, in previous years, Rutland Camera have concerned themselves with the closure of other pubs, but will not take any steps until we have got a view about how the community might view any action taken. Now, under the 2011 Localism Act, there was included, it brings in the right to buy and the right to bid And the idea is that you can place any building, whether privately owned or publicly owned, on an asset of community value register. Now all this simply does is register the community as saying that this building or property or whatever is of community value. And then the group that has put that on the register as an asset of community value will be contacted should there be a move to sell it off away from its current usage. So I'm really asking, there is no interest in this in terms of financial interest whatsoever. It is whether we as the council representing the community of Uppingham, I've offered three reactions. Your fourth reaction I suppose is to ignore it. One is for the council to support in principle the placing of the Royal Oak on an asset of community value, or preferably as a town council placing this property on the asset of community value, or thirdly possibly jointly working with the local camera branch to place it on an asset of community value. I've just been to a conference in Liverpool about this very event, very activity, and some counties larger than ours have probably 200 to 300 pubs and green spaces and whatever else nominated as assets of community value. To my knowledge, and I don't know, I think Rutland has this very small, if anything, asset of community, a register of asset community value. I've been in contact with Rutland, and there is an appropriate procedure that we can go through. Basically, either 21 people have got to nominate it who are electors in the local area, or if a body, such as the town council or camera branch, was to do it, then that branch can just nominate it as it is.
Okay.
So I'd just like your views.
Cornelius?
Right, I've been approached over the last couple of months by two separate individuals in the town that don't live all that far away from, and I was asked as to what was actually happening with the building, and my understanding to them was, well, I honestly don't know, but if you care that much about the building, we do have we have put aside at every full council meeting where the general public can come in and you can actually speak. As of yet, those two individuals haven't done that, but they spoke quite passionately about that specific building to me on at least 2 or 3 separate occasions, and I made the suggestion to them to come in here and voice their opinion in front of the council. So,
Anyone else wish to build?
Yeah, I'd like to speak against this, and as somebody who actually is a frequenter of pubs, you might find that strange. But I think there's a lot of emotional nonsense talked about pubs and their roles in communities and societies. The reason that this pub closed is because people didn't want to go into it. And David has said there is no such thing as a bad pub, only bad owners and managers and tenants. But the fact is, you could apply that to any sort of business. There might be no such thing as a bad newsagent, a bad grocers, a bad greengrocers, a bad fishmongers. There are just bad people who run those businesses. And I don't think that, in fact, that this pub necessarily has any great community asset to it. I'm sure if you were to talk to people who lived on Queen Street, and when that pub was closing at 1 o'clock on a Friday morning and 1 o'clock on a Saturday morning, their views as to whether it was a community asset or not might differ considerably from the members of the Camden branch, who, if they'd all have attended it on a regular basis, might not have closed at all.
Cornelius?
I'd like to speak or support what my fellow councillor has just said in respect of that. I think that the building needs to be protected within the confines of the town, but the last landlord that was in there, the way they conduct themselves in this town in relation to how they promote the business, I thought was despicable. It lowered the tone of the town in relation to the way they conduct themselves.
All right. So, can I, with an eye on the clock, do we yet have a feel for how we wish to proceed? I'm sensing so far that there's speaking. Miranda, you.
No, I'd like to say actually. this chair, Bill, because if that pub stops being a pub, it'll never come back. And we're going to end up basically with just the marketplace to go in. And we're supposed to be developing this town as a business zone and this, that and the other. But where does business end? Right in the marketplace? Why not have a pub down there and bring people down through the town? And it can be a really nice place again. There's absolutely no reason why it can't be. And I just think it would be tragic if we lost another pub.
Thank you, Miranda. Ron?
I'd like to move an amendment. Sorry, I'd like to move an amendment because I hear what Dave's saying. I happen to be involved a little bit at national level in it, and the key thing is to ask people. It's a mirror image of what we're talking about 20 minutes ago at the fair. You need to consult the community, people who live next door and the wider community. And it seems to me, before we go and tie the town council's name to it, my amendment was going to be, you know, I'll support Dave on the understanding that it's preceded by some sort of appropriate survey of community opinion.
Okay. Can I rarely offer, I'd like to offer an opinion. I don't think this is the sort of thing the town council should be getting involved in. I think there are plenty of community groups within the town. There is a mechanism for those community groups to do it. Now, I'll say what I do, and then you can challenge me. I think what we're talking about here is an asset of community value. In my mind, we haven't tried to put an asset of community value on our library. You know, we've only got one library here. We've got other pubs, and I don't think that I particularly want to tie. We talked earlier about how little resource we've got and how we've got to be careful about what we ask the council to do. And for me, this does not pass the test of one of the things we should be doing as a council. And that's my view. Dick, if you want to challenge that,
But yes, but you're saying that other councils do this. It's not that this might
Some
not
do.
be your opinion of what a council should do, but it's not a ruling. Other councils do this. sort of
correct.
thing.
Sorry, that was my personal opinion as a
Yeah.
councillor rather than as the chair.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If you make a proposition, David, I'm more than prepared to support it, especially on item 2, by instigating a community nomination as a town council. We can only get a vote with.
Sorry, what is that? so, what's your proposition, Dave?
I'm a bit stuck, Chair, in that I'd be happy with all three.
I would support number 2. If you want to put number 2 up, I'll support
Number
it.
2 is my ideal option.
In that case, put it up and I'll second it.
Okay,
Don't get too damned
Would you
enthusiastic
mind
about
reading
it.
it out for us?
Okay, Uppingham Town Council supports the placement of the Royal Oak on RCC's Asset of Community Value Register by instigating a community nomination of the Town Council.
Okay, and that's seconded by.
It is.
And Lindsay, you wish to.
Can I just, I support what Miranda said, I think, but also I think it would be slightly strange if we only had one building in the town and it happened to be one of the pubs. I mean, are there not, if we're going to do this, should we not be nominating some other key
I
buildings
think
in the
that's
town?
very true. I think all ought to go and think about what we ought to
Right,
propose.
but tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I will make a point of procedure. Tonight we are asked specifically about that building.
Yeah.
All right?
Well, to be,
Sorry, Sam, yes?
well, to be expedient, your other 2 proposals were, one was that Camera did it with our support. I'm more in favour of that really, bearing in mind that we haven't got any on the list already. It would be more,
But I'm only
more
allowed
appropriate.
one proposition, aren't I?
Well, you could accept an amendment. If Sam wished to move an amendment, that would be permissible.
Well,
You
I
would
will move
accept
an
his
amendment that we will support Camera's attempt to get it on the,
Is that is that C, 3?
yeah.
Jointly
Yeah.
instigated?
Mm.
Well, I'd accept that amendment.
Go on then.
And
Yep.
Dick, as the seconder, do you accept?
I've just said so.
Thank you. So,
Thank you, sir.
so for your ears, ladies and gentlemen, Dave, what are we now voting on?
Okay, Uppingham Town Council supports the placement of the Royal Oak, Queen Street, Uppingham, LE159QR onto Rutland County Council's Asset of Community Value Register by jointly instigating a community nomination with Rutland Camera.
Chair, can I move a named vote, please?
Can, so we're having a name vote on this one. So those in favour of the proposal, so that's, I'm going to call your names out so Neil can get it. Cornelius is in favour, Dave Casewell in favour, Lindsay's in favour, Alex in favour, Dick's in favour, Sam's in favour, and Miranda's in favour, and Steve's in
Decided
favour.
to-
Right, we've got everyone. So how many was that? Did you get the numbers? That's important. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Oh, what
5,
have we got?
6, 7, 8 in favour. Those against, that would be me starting it off. I'm against. Ian's against. Ron's against. And Bill's against. So that comes to 12. Have we got an abstention? Christine abstained. Okay? Right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got less than 15 minutes
Yeah,
left.
can I help you?
Please do.
On the item I was going to take, I was hoping to have some profitability figures for you. I haven't got
Yeah.
it. Can I suggest we take this to next month?
Yeah, so
I'll have your time.
Ron is proposing, are you on item 17? We defer item 17 until next month's
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that fine?
Keep it
Seconder?
costing us.
Dave seconds that. Those in favour of deferring that item? Sam, how about you? And sorry, yes, carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ron. Item 18, to request, this is to consider a request to increase the agreed spend on the Freedom of Uppingham event from 2,750 to 3,250 is to cover the cost of a marquee. At the Amenities Committee, we debated the original plan. We were going to have some guests in this building and some troops over at the cricket pavilion. We felt that was wrong, that the troops and guests should be together. The Amenities Committee came up with the idea of trying to get a marquee, which we're going to ask the you're looking quizzical, were you not there, Ian?
Well, I've been to the Amenities Committee.
Am I not right? Is that
We did
I
discuss
am-
this, we did,
I
yes.
haven't heard
Yeah.
any of that,
Yeah,
and
we
I
did.
meant to be on the group and not heard any of that, so it's news to me. But
We did discuss this.
Miranda?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we
We
did
did,
discuss this.
yeah, well, obviously, you know, 10 can't be wrong.
Were you asleep during the Amenities Committee?
might have been
Councillor?
out.
Oh, sorry,
No,
Councillor
it
Saul.
probably wasn't accurate, yeah.
Right, I'll press on, look. So, Neil was asked to go and check with the army if they would provide the tents for free. And they would, except the tents are just not up to it. Alright, so he's managed to do a good deal, and if we can vote through an extra 500 quid, which we have the money in the participatory budget, we will get a marquee on Todd's piece and we'll all be together.
I'll second that.
Proposed by
I'll
Christine,
second
seconded by Cornelius. Those in favour, that's unanimous? Yes, it is. Thank you.
Actually, I apologise, I'm going to withdraw.
Okay. So I'm now up to item 19. We're considering a proposal to site more waste stroke litter bins in Uppingham through a request to RTC as per the paper. How say you? Anyone? Bill proposes we accept the paper.
I'll second it.
Cornelius seconds it. Anyone wish to speak to it, as I'm conscious of talking you along to speak to Christine?
What is the cost Uppingham or is the cost for the bins RCMCs?
The bulk of it is ours, but there are some bins that we can get from RCC. That's the maximum cost to do those installations. It's for me to argue through with RCC what they will cover. There will be some support, but I couldn't tie them down on how much. So that will be the maximum cost.
Which is 1,500. For what it's worth, I think we desperately need more bins. So, did I get a proposal on this? I did.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. Bill and Cornelius.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that's right, yeah.
Does everyone feel they've had the chance to speak on that? Yeah. So those in favour, please show. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in favour. Those against? One against. Okay. So we now come to item 20. Do you want me to carry on, Dick? Or
Can do.
I'll happily give way to you if you want.
If you want to, you just.
So we've got 5 items. I've taken advice from Neil, and I don't need to read all these out to you. So item A and B are retrospective. My feeling, and I take the advice from the chair of planning, my feeling, Dick, is that this is really a enforcement issue rather than, although it's, can I use the phrase dressed up as a new application, it's frankly an enforcement issue.
It is.
And my view is that we should support Rutland County Council in its actions to enforce the original decisions.
There's a third degree, and I think we should also mention that this is not a retrospective application from